Hey everyone, it's Sensei Victoria Whitfield here, your journey partner in business, welcoming you back to episode 75 of the Journeypreneur Podcast. This is your source for channeled holistic stress management techniques, guidance, inspiration, and motivation to stay on your path to rapid financial ascension and massive impact as a conscious entrepreneur. So the title of today's episode is Positive Pain, and I have someone special here for you. Her name is Sophie Dalton. She's a life and business coach for high-achieving women entrepreneurs so that they can live their life on their own damn terms. And what we were just talking about was this concept of positive pain. Before we hit record, Sophie was sharing with me how she's been working with her VIP clients on this concept of really allowing pain to help you move into your next level and even your next level of self-care. So Sophie, if you could take it away, tell us.
Yes. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the Journeypreneur Podcast. I'm really excited to be here. I love the types of conversations that you have. And this one today, I think, is going to be straight fire. So positive pain, something that I've been doing recently, hardcore with myself and with my VIP clients, as you said, is strategizing our lifestyle system and our business system around the things that cause us the most discomfort, that make us the most uncomfortable, or because that discomfort or that suffering, that pain is often a cue to what is going to be the most expansive, both in life and business. And so what happens is that when we go straight towards the activities that scare us the most. And this obviously isn't the negative pain that tears us down or wears us down, but this is more like the thrilling kind of roller coaster fear. When we go straight towards that thing, that it's often those actions that are the minimum effective dose that move us the furthest forward.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about that is that it really hones in and focuses the use of our energy. Like if we can find something as a guiding light that is constantly with us to help us move in the right direction, why not embrace it? And how interesting that our pain, the one thing that we want to run away the most from or numb out, right? Or try and perform over to try and distract from our pain, running straight towards it and using it as like the bullseye or the crosshairs that helps us focus on what we need the most right now to advance our lives and businesses. This is really juicy. Could you tell us more? Keep going.
Yes. So as you talk about in the Journeypreneur, the journey behind growing your business, is that this journey that we're on is really an opportunity for our spiritual expansion. Mm-hmm. So our business goals, of course, we're making money. Of course, we're doing these logical, kind of masculine based things like pitching ourselves for press interviews or, hosting our own podcast or these types of things we're creating. But what's happening, the transformation that's happening underneath the creating, the selling in ourselves, the showing up on social media, doing all of these daily tasks is a transformation into the person that you most want to be, into your highest self, the person that is capable and has the capacity to serve your soul purpose. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And something that we were talking about right before we started recording was that you mentioned that there are plenty of opportunities to jump off your entrepreneurial journey and to kind of abandon your dream where it was because things just get too hard. You face an unexpected roadblock. Things are taking longer than you expected. Maybe you haven't been getting the dream clients that you're wanting. And so it's just feeling like it's really sticky or it's not coming as fast as you want it to come. And there are lots of these, whether you think of them as tests or opportunities to reaffirm your belief in yourself. We get to choose in those moments what kind of challenge or pain is worth it for us. Mm. because the way I see it is that if I were to quit my business, I would inevitably face a new kind of pain. It would be the pain of regret, the pain of having to work for somebody else, the pain of not being in control of my schedule, the pain that comes with that, of the consequences of not being in my purpose, which for me was feeling really uncomfortable in my body, resenting some of my relationships, these like very intense personal emotions. So because I'm aware of that pain, then it becomes easier for me to continue to choose into the pain of entrepreneurial expansion. Is that making sense?
Totally. I mean, somebody, for the love of God, tweet the positive pain of entrepreneurial expansion. Hit that @ and put Sensei Whitfield. Hit the @ shout out to Sophie Dalton. That's amazing. As a concept, and it's ringing bells for me because it's this pain of expansion. The pain of expansion. It rings bells for me, and we were talking about this before we jumped on the recording, that in my past studies, one of my spiritual mentors is he's a Tibetan Lama, the Lama Tulku Lobsang, and when I was studying under him, I learned about the 3 different vehicles for enlightenment according to the Buddha. Now, I'm not Buddhist. I was just studying under this Tibetan Lama in particular. And so these 3 vehicles came up of like, how are the ways, according to the Buddha, to advance our souls, right, and achieve nirvana, or that oneness, that completion of all knowledge and experience. And the 3 vehicles that the Buddha teaches, one, and I believe this is Theravada Buddhism, and you know, if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. Right, this Theravada, I believe, is the vehicle of service. So going out and dedicating the rest of your life, or dedicating with consciousness a portion of your life to being in service to others. And from that, being of service advances your soul and moves you closer and closer towards enlightenment. And then there's Mahayana Buddhism. I think I get the first 2 a little bit confused. So if I'm rusty, it's been years. Somebody
give her a break, people.
Yeah, give me a break. Give me a shout out. Leave me a review and say, hey, Victoria, by the way, it's this, this, and this, right? And leave that 5-star, and I love you. Mwah. So with it, Mahayana, if I'm not mistaken, this is conscious suffering. So suffering as a vehicle to enlightenment, where you're going in and choosing to do the difficult thing. And because of that, it removes your karma, removes all of those barriers to you being the fullest expression of yourself, removes your attachment to your ego, and, you know, it advances you closer towards enlightenment, expands your soul. And then the 3rd branch, Vajrayana, my Lama, he taught me about Tantrayana Buddhism, and this Vajrayana experience of pleasure, where that's the vehicle for enlightenment, where you are consciously engaging and receiving and allowing and researching so much pleasure, where you're removing your barriers to receptivity, removing your upper limits, to see how much can you receive in, how much pleasure can you take. And because of that, that experience of bliss, that oneness, is what gets you closer and closer to enlightenment and advances your soul. So as you're explaining in our businesses as conscious entrepreneurs, really embracing positive pain and going to the areas that frighten us the most, or really leaning into that, or seeking support for it, or going full on into that, it reminded me of these 3 different vehicles of service, suffering, and pleasure. What drops in for you, Sophie, with that?
Well, I love this so much, because to me, entrepreneurship is a combination of all 3, in that we go through the fire of transformation, and that this can feel like suffering. And maybe it comes in spurts, maybe it's a long phase. It depends for the individual, but there is a fire of not knowing if you can do it, of figuring everything out at once, of feeling like you're learning with like a fire hose of information coming at you. You know, you're really taking this on, and you're sitting in a very uncomfortable space of transformation. But if you sit in that fire, it burns away all the outside stuff, all these barriers that we've of ego that we've constructed that tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not ready, that it goes to somebody else, that we're going to piss somebody off and lose love somehow. Mm-hmm. And so we're burning through all these stories that separate us from our God element within ourselves and from the service element. So when we're choosing this suffering, the positive pain of entrepreneurship, it's the suffering that burns through the resistance that frees us up to start with the service. So now we're giving the service, we're prioritizing how we are supporting other people into their change. And then, at least I'm sure that these can appear in all sorts of combinations. But I would say then after the service, then we start adjusting our upper limits and we start bringing in all the abundance. And then we're challenged, then we're reaching the next type of path to enlightenment through this ever growing experience of pleasure in the receiving and the serving at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It's such a powerful progression there. And it's a continuing journey. So once we move from that paradigm of, okay, leaning into the suffering, then, okay, the journey isn't over. And I think of so many of my clients really like, what? I thought I already fixed that. Like, you think of, especially when we're doing, say, trauma work around your childhood issues, have come back up to say, you can't ask for that much money because so-and-so touched you when you were 4. Like, the weird, creepy, crazy stuff that comes up to haunt us as we continue to expand our hearts, to expand our capacity for service, to expand our capacity for receiving and healing. And it just, it makes me think of like over and over and over again. I cannot tell you how many clients I've had, whether it's in their private sessions or when they've been in the group masterminds that we hold, where the old skeleton of that layer of pain or that layer of a lesson, quite frankly, is coming up again at another level. And I know that there is a phrase, new level, new devil. And I personally don't believe in devils. I don't believe in conjuring devils or attracting and manifesting more devils at the new levels that I'm going to. Mm-hmm. There's this new level, new lesson is what I personally believe in. And I'm curious for you, Sophie, what have you seen? Like, do you have any examples of when you've been, whether it's in your own personal journey as an entrepreneur or clients you've observed, how has this leaning into the journey of leaning into positive pain come up for you or for them?
I think the primary example that comes to mind is with selling. So the discomfort that so many women have, whether it's just advocating for themselves, a primary problem that I support my clients with is the ability to explain, like put into words, whether it's on their website or just in how they introduce themselves to somebody in the coffee line, to be able to put their best foot forward and assert why they're good at what they do, and to describe themselves in a way that is intriguing to whoever they might be talking to. Mm-hmm. Because of course we are our own walking billboards, but so many women are not only failing to advocate for themselves in how much they're getting paid, but merely just in how they're representing themselves, right? They're missing opportunities left and right because of it. anyway, so there's this kind of negative mantra that I hear all the time of, I just don't want to market myself. I don't like talking about myself. I don't want to brag, or that makes me uncomfortable, whatever it is. And I even see it with, if we're talking about another level, another lesson, I see it with incredibly accomplished women CEOs who are now trying to start their own business. And they're finding that despite having been incredibly successful in their corporate career, they cannot for the life of them sell themselves. And so for me, this is the perfect epicenter of why selling and why pain is the ultimate form of self-care. Because when you can lean into that discomfort that you have around marketing yourself and truly asserting why you are worthy, not just of people paying you, but of people paying attention, people to you, of people coming to your workshop, whatever it is, if you can stand up there as if it were ridiculous for them not to pay attention to you, for them not to pay you, then you are reconnecting to the God element in yourself, and not in this, obviously not in this domineering, I am better than, but but it's truly like a deepening of the faith in who you are. Because if you can trust yourself with other people's money, if you can trust yourself to give them a good experience in the workshop or whatever it is that you're selling, then tell me, the no amount of manicures can measure up to that type of self-care.
100%. I mean, and that was so juicily said. Oh my goodness, that was fabulous. It reminds me of my own journey around being able to receive money, especially as an energy healer. Well, for any entrepreneur, for anyone out there who is, living their purpose and serving from the heart and, out there providing a service and asking for compensation, there's always this kind of growth cycle that we go through. It's a coming of age ritual of learning to ask for the sale, and also learning to ask for your worth, right? And determining your worth. And we can pull numbers out of thin air, right? We can pull numbers out of thin air, or we can look at all of the components of what we put into the services or the program or the product, the package, and all of the things. We could look at all of the components and use that to tally it up. But when it comes to being able to, I'll put it on me, stand my ground and say, okay, this is how much it is. Like the person, how much is a session, or how much is a retreat, or how much is a program with you, right? Because that's how it evolved over time. At first it was just private sessions, and then it evolved into retreats, like day retreats, and then it evolved into programs, like year-long programs. And to have a ready response for that, there's I'll use a birth term. There's a ring of fire. There's a ring of fire that I had to pass through. And I remember when a dear friend of mine, Jess Gonzalez, by the way, shout out to you, Goddess, if you ever listen to this, mwah. She, when she was pregnant with her daughter, this is her firstborn child, she decided to do like a natural pregnancy and have the baby at home with her mother, have a doula, like the whole 9 yards. I remember talking to her at different stages about it, and she sent me an article on this experience that a woman has when she's giving birth naturally, that when the baby starts to crown in your, I guess it's your vaginal canal, right, or down in the womb, there's this, when the baby's bearing down and you're bearing down to release her out of your body, there's this ring of fire. It feels like a ring of fire, and that's, your muscles tearing to make way to help let the baby out. And it's a mental, emotional shift. It's a mindset shift. It's a soul shift that you decide that the gift that I am bringing into this world is more important than the ring of fire that I have to move through in order to get it. Mm. So that ring of fire also, once that happens in a woman, that's her initiation as a mother. Like, you pass through that from one end. From before that, you were pregnant or you didn't have the baby in you and all of that, that was you before. But once you pass through that ring of fire experience and you can brave through it, you have this beautiful being that you get to be the guardian of for the rest of your life and their life. And so having these ring of fire experiences where we're on the cusp of bringing a creation of transformation into someone else's life, when we have that ring of fire of, oh my gosh, okay, I'm about to do the ask. I'm going to say what I'm worth, or what I've determined what I'm worth. And you feel that inner burning emotional, like your confidence and your self-assuredness has that sense of discomfort and creative tension going there. Just tell my listeners who are tuned in right now, when you feel that ring of fire, please know that that's an initiation. That is not a sign for you to turn tail and run. Move through it. Breathe through it. If you have to, push through it, because I'm getting chills head to toe as I say that, because there's such an incredible gift on the other side. And I'm not talking about that check in the bank to you, because it is an honor and a pleasure to pay good money for transformation. I value the money that I've paid out, and I value the experiences that I've had to be able to honor my mentors, my support staff, my team, my therapists. Like, I honor the ability to get to put what I value, right? My money, the resources that I've gathered, and put that down as a commitment and a covenant to say, I'm here. I'm here. I'm showing up here, not necessarily for you, but moreover for myself. And just for those of you who are going into those sales conversations, I just want to really ground that image of the ring of fire. And please know that the gift on the other side is not the check in the bank to you, or the cash in the bank, or Venmo, or whatever you're getting, right? It's not that. It's the gift of them having the opportunity to say, I'm worth that much.
Wow. 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 So much goodness happening. I mean, the metaphor of this literally being birth and we're calling this the positive pain of expansion. And you just gave the most literal and beautiful and divine feminine example of how this is truth. And they say, like, the most established entrepreneurs say that it's not about the things you get, it's about the person that you become in the process. And I think the work that you and I are doing is changing the paradigm so that we don't have to wait to have the $1 billion business to understand that the real prize is who we are right now and the journey that we're going through, right? Because if we can have that wisdom as we're working through the ring of fire, then we get to relax into enjoyment of it. And we're bringing it back to the positive pain. Like, if we can, if you as a listener can just take a breath, take a moment, and just practice the belief, like pretend believing for even just 5 minutes at a time, that you actually enjoy the nerves, the fear, the not knowing if you're going to be able to hit the next step, all of that stuff. If you can enjoy it because you're proving to yourself that you are somebody who does hard things, and you are somebody who shows up for yourself. And if that can be the biggest freaking reward, is to build your own confidence in who you are and to make that an unshakable thing that nobody can ever take away from you, then you've won.
So good. So true.
I'm having fun.
Oh my God. Like, this is just, I've been swimming in chills. Like, there, power gathered here. And from the bottom of my heart, Sophie, I just want to thank you so much for for being open to play and present and just sharing from the heart. I celebrate you in your wisdom, and also in your courage to be an advocate for our women leaders who are making that transition to serving at a higher level. So where can we celebrate you? Where can we go to like, subscribe, to 5-star? Like, where are we going to celebrate the living hell out of you, Goddess? Tell me.
Oh my goodness. So on Facebook, Sophie Dalton. I have my own podcast, the Soulful Warrior Podcast. That's my Instagram handle, Soulful Warrior. And my current training is soulfulwarrior.com/get more done, I believe. But I will send you the link so that you can put that in the show notes. And I just want to thank you again. That was truly such a joy. And I just love having you in my life as a co-creator and as a mentor and a friend.
Oh, amen, Sister Goddess. Yes. Oh, I love it. And I'm excited to head over there and to show you tons of love so that more people know just how awesome you are.
Yay.
For that. And it's so good to dance together in this process and share the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to all my listeners, I want to thank you also and celebrate you for your 5-star reviews and the notes that you've been leaving with them. I love reading your stories and just seeing your perspectives. I thank you for all of your, oh my gosh, the emails, the text messages. Like, it's just a wonder to get to hear everyone's story, and also what in our content is touching you and ministering to you. Please know that this is done from a space of deep love to encourage you to stay on your path and do not give it up. Do not leave the journey to rapid financial ascension and massive impact as a conscious entrepreneur. So I'd love to end here by reminding you, please, remember to enjoy the journey. Do not lose your glow as you grow in life and business. We'll see you in the next podcast episode. Mwah! Bye for now.
Love you. Thank you.
Mwah.